Good afternoon. My name is Isaiah Walker Trammell. Today I'd like to talk to you about how a single word can have a completely different meaning just based off of who hears it. What if I was to walk into the room you're in and yell clear? What would you think that means? One, you just might think I'm a weirdo who's yelling. Or you could interpret it as I need you to move out of the way so I can get through. If you're a Marine like myself, you might interpret it as I just searched the room to ensure that there were no threats inside. But what if you worked in the hospital and you heard someone yell clear? You might imagine that someone's about to be defibrillated and everyone needs to stand back for their safety. It's the same word, but that one word has a completely different meaning just based off of who hears it. Today I'd like to talk to you and explain how context changes the meaning sometimes. Share a real life example involving a phrase that completely caused chaos during the Los Angeles riots of 1992, and explain why understanding context makes us better communicators. Let's begin, shall we? Language is quite interesting because words don't always have the same meaning. According to the American Psychological Association, communication is more than just a message. It's the context in which it's received. Think about the word fire. If we were camping, it would imply warmth. If we were in a military environment on a range and you heard fire, it would mean begin shooting. But what if we were in an office and someone yelled fire? It would mean evacuate immediately. That understanding we have in those situations comes from specialized training. The specialized training we receive on jobs teaches us a special language that we understand because that is what's presented to us to use in that environment, that not everyone else gets it. When outsiders hear the same language and the same words being used, they interpret it completely different because they don't have the same understanding as you. Sometimes a misunderstanding like that can be funny, but in other situations, it actually can be dangerous. Let's look at a real life example. The best example that comes to mind is the 1992 Los Angeles riots, when the police were working with the Marines to bring order to chaos. In an article by Bill Murray, he talks specifically on that subject. A police officer yelled, "Cover me," to the Marines, expecting them to aim at the building, ensuring no one came out to attack them, so he could move to a better position. They heard the command, and they begin firing approximately 200 to 300 rounds into the building. Why? Because when he said "cover me" to the Marines, to them, that means provide covering fire so that you can move to a different position, not just aim at the building. No one was hurt, thankfully. But think about this. Everyone spoke English in that matter. Everyone believed they understood the command, but because of their different backgrounds, they had different interpretations of it. This reminds us that communication isn't only about choosing the right words. It's about making sure the listener understands the words the same as you and everyone else in the situation. But why does that in particular matter? Understanding context will make us better communicators. The National Institute on Deafness and Other Communicative Disorders explains that effective communication depends on both the speaker and the listener correctly interpreting language. When we recognize that people from a different background, we're more likely to try to explain ourselves more clearly to avoid that kind of miscommunication. We ask questions instead of making assumptions to make sure the bigger picture is clear. See, clear. But it also, in doing that, we prevent misunderstandings, we improve teamwork, we increase safety, and we build stronger relationships. Today, we learned that words don't only have one fixed meaning. We learned how context shapes communication, examined a real-life Cover Me incident during the Los Angeles riots of 1992, and we discussed why understanding context makes us better communicators. I'd like to leave you with a final thought. Words don't have definition. It's people that, words don't just have definitions. It's the meaning that comes from people. We give it purpose. The next time you hear somebody say clear or cover me or another familiar face, remember, what they mean depend entirely on what they learned and where they learned it. Thank you.